screw it.
Let me ask you this about, and I'm going to give you my history on Kyle Shanahan. I've called him a boy genius, a boy wonder. No, he's a man. He's good at his job, but sometimes I question his play calling. And you being the pro athlete, I want to see if this has any merit. Castani and I, when we go 15 rounds, it's just his viewpoint on pro athletes getting called scrubbed or lesser than. But I know everybody that made any pro sport, FP, were big man on campus where they're from. So I say all that to say is this will now be Kyle Shanahan's 4th NFC championship game. He's won 1. Been to a Super Bowl. I felt they should have closed that. They didn't. Lost to the Rams in the NFC Championship game, up 10 a couple years ago, 2022. I felt they should have won that. So I say all that to say is I'm giving him all the credit in the world for what he's doing, but I think he is deserving of a Super Bowl trophy. He's that good of a coach. So my question to you is, am I off base if I'm holding Kyle to that standard of, you know what, ball coach, you're so great in my viewpoint and your team is loaded, I don't see any other reason why you shouldn't hoist that Lombardi trophy. So it's Steiny will say, oh, you're not being fair. I'm being fair because I'm giving him the kudos, but can you get just real quick that I want him to get that bling?
The way he does it is if he coaches this game on Sunday the way he coached during the regular season. I've seen managers.
You don't think he did that Saturday?
No, he didn't. He coached not to lose.
Wow.
You got to let it rip. In the biggest games, you got to let it rip. Like Dan Campbell is going to let it rip. He's going to go for it on every 4th down. He's going to go for 2. He gives 0 Fs about anything.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way he coaches. And I've seen in my experiences where managers will change the way they manage because it's the playoffs, meaning they get conservative. Bruce Bochy won all those World Series because he managed differently in the playoffs, but it was let it rip. Like, let's go. If you're not getting it done, next man up. I'm going to manage every game like it's game 7, and we're going to go for it. We're going to play to win. And I thought the way that I think Kyle saw the way Brock Purdy was playing at the end of the first half, the clock management. I said, what are we doing on Twitter? Like, what are we doing right here? They're just letting it click away. They didn't take timeouts. They had timeouts left. They could have pushed that ball. Who knows? They could have got a closer field goal attempt, or they could have scored 6. But I just think if you play conservatively and you play not to lose, that you're going to lose 90% of the time. And I think if Kyle, I'll disagree with one thing, Goo. Like, nobody deserves anything. Like in sports, nobody deserves anything. Like, you got to make it happen yourself. Kyle Shanahan doesn't deserve a Super Bowl championship. He's a good enough coach, and I love the guy. I'm his biggest fan. Yeah. Like, he doesn't deserve it, but damn, it would be super cool. He is, in my mind, one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the NFL, and those coaches usually win championships. And I think his legacy will be cemented only if he wins a championship.
Right. Okay. And that, you know what? That was well said. And that's my greater point. We're going to go out to Bob in San Francisco in 1 second, but I want to run this by you. Deebo Samuel. I'll tell you what, the Niners struggled, and I said I was consistent all year that Christian McCaffrey is the most important offensive weapon with all this weaponry that the Niners have. And you know what? That 3-game losing streak happened. Brock didn't look like Brock. Wasn't blaming it all on him. But that's when I said, just like a nice chessboard, that the bishop, the piece that Deebo Samuel is, confuses defenses and even makes Brock Purdy's job. It makes him feel safer and more at ease. For him not to be able to come back in that game, and now I believe it was Schefter or Rappaport this morning, I heard with the guy saying he's 50-50. This is why I'm fearful. If you're 50-50 and you being the pro athlete, I keep going to you, how good can you expect Deebo to be even if you played, if you're 50-50 to just play? Just how my computer works, how would you answer that?
Dude, more than the value he brings, I think the thing I think of with Deebo is the physicality. He's going to wear you down. He's going to run you over, dude. You need physical to win. And, dude, if it's not a hairline fracture, which they were scared of, so x-rays came back negative, shoot it up, bro.
Oh, okay.
Like Toradol, painkillers.
That'll work.
This is that time of year where you do whatever it takes to get on the field. So if he's 50-50, you're playing. Sorry.
And the Toradol, that'll do it, huh? That shot?
Oh, the shot of Toradol will do it.
Now, how long does it have? When do you take it? An hour before you perform? The night before? I'm just curious.
I mean, you take as many as you need to take during the game.
But how long before
game.
they're effective? It's like Viagra, you take it an hour. Blue Chew, you take it an hour before.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how does that work?
Well, yeah, you take an hour before, and then you're ready. But like Toradol, is it an hour before
Maybe
game
you should
time?
take a Viagra.
No, you know what I mean.
Don't talk about that.
Let's go to Bob in San Francisco.
Cialis is better.
Yeah, brought to you by
better be careful.
What's up, Bob, baby?
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
I love the show, guys. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that one caller. I'd like to see a little more back rotation. And then I don't want to see the game start off with 3 straight passes. You know, that's kind of like, come on, you got the best running game in the league, and we're going pass. You know, so you're putting a lot of pressure on your offense right off the bat. So I don't know. I wasn't exactly happy with the beginning of the game play calling, but that's just me, armchair quarterback. But what was that phrase that Dwayne Kuiper coined for the Giants?
Torture. I tweeted. I put 49ers football torture.
That's exactly what I felt.
Yeah. Wow.
That's exactly what I felt it was. But you know what? They came through. They pulled it off. They showed that even though on their off day they still had enough to actually win the game. That was an amazing game, and I'm looking forward to Detroit. I also thought that the rain was going to make it harder for us because it equalized both teams. Whereas now I see if it rains again, I see Detroit having more of an issue because they're an indoor team. That's just my thing, you know.
Appreciate the phone call. I'll tell you what, rain or snow or what have you, dry track, FP is so funny. I remember a game in Glendale. They were playing the Cardinals, the Niners on the road. And they gave up over 200 yards on the ground. Armstead didn't play, and you could have I wrote it off, nothing to see here, bad day at the office. They won the game going away. The Niners did. But I was like, okay, Then, you know, I'm sitting here watching the Ravens have some success on the ground, but I never once thought it would be something that after one playoff game in the divisional round to where I'm looking at you now and Spadoni and Lubman, I'm telling you, I thought I knew what the Niner defense was and how stout it was. I am blown away that Aaron Jones got 100 yards on the ground. Is what seemed as easy as it was, like from the outset. They had the ball 7.5 minutes on the opening drive. That was a message. Yeah, you got 3, but are you at all shocked that Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave, who you pay, like there's a lot of money on this D-line, and I don't care, rain or whatever, that was not good enough. No, they didn't record a sack, and that's Bosa's 4th playoff game without a sack.
Yeah, I'm worried about the run defense, and I was worried about it from the get-go the other day. And you've seen it during the season. The Niners' defense last year was better. It was the only defense that I can remember. I've been a Niners fan since I was 8 years old. That I want to see the defense on the field more than the offense.
Damn.
Now the offense has to work this year. They're going to score points because the defense isn't the same. I don't know if it's they missed D'Amico. I don't know if it's Hufanga's out. Hufanga's not here. Man. And Talanoa was one of my favorite players, and they're missing him right now. I don't know what it is, but the defense was way better last year. You scored 7 or 10 points, and you're winning the game last year. That ain't the case now. They're going to have to put up some points against the Lions, and for whatever reason, it's just the run defense. I don't know if Chase Young has something to do with it. I don't know. Like the one play
Bosa got Randy Gregory. You know, they went and got all these little things, and I was like, oh, you're adding to something. You're going to be unstoppable. But FP, I was like, well, if you came into this season, and if you're right, which I believe you are, then one of your strong parts of your team was the D-line. Why did you need a Randy Gregory? But I was told it was just depth, Goo. It was just depth. Okay, why did you need a Chase? So maybe they saw something, but now you got me thinking about Wilkes. Yeah, because if you're right, they didn't have Hargrave last year, and he was a monster for Philly, and now you got him, and you've incorporated him in your defense. I'm not being negative, but if you got to play Baltimore or Kansas City with Pacheco and even the two-headed monster this Sunday with Detroit with their running back game, I mean, you got to fix that.
Got to fix that. And you got to stop the run. You got to make Jared Goff beat you. Jared Goff's 0-5 career against the Niners.
Bad,
He's coming home.
Yeah.
There's always that thing when you come home as an athlete, you're trying to impress.
Catholic.
I'm friends with Jared's dad. I played baseball with Jerry. Jerry's a great guy. We played in Montreal together. We played at Cal Berkeley together my freshman year, and then we played with the Expos together. I remember coming out of the clubhouse in AAA. We were playing in Indianapolis, Indiana. Jerry was my teammate. And he had just got married, and they had this little baby in their hands, this little baby boy. And I'm just like, oh my God, congratulations, you guys. It was Jared.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing Jared like on TV, first round draft pick, like playing
That's
for the Lions.
amazing, man.
But like talk about him for a second, because we've been talking about the Niners a lot. Like, it's hard as an athlete to like give double middle fingers to the team that got rid of you.
Oh,
like
man.
that's so hard. Like, you want to impress, you want to like play great against the Rams. He wasn't good enough for the Rams. And you saw Dan Campbell's speech after the game. He gave a game ball to Jared
That
Goff.
was dope.
He says, "You're good enough for Detroit,
Wow,
Jared." And he gave, I got goosebumps.
That hit me too.
That gave me goosebumps, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
so like good for him. Can you imagine getting traded from the Rams and being in a Super Bowl to the Detroit Lions? And you're just like, dude, seriously? Like, I got to go to Detroit? I got to play for the Lions?
Oh, that had to be a rough.
And then Dan
couple
Campbell
of
just
nights.
says, like, you're my guy, and we're going to rebuild this thing, and we're going to, like, bite your kneecaps off, or whatever he said in his first press conference. And now
We're going to bite a kneecap off?
Dude, I
He got killed for
I freaking
that.
love Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a closet Lions fan. Obviously, I'll be rooting for the Niners. This is a tough one for me because my dad has grown up a Lions fan. We're from Michigan. We moved to California when I was 6 years old. So I asked my parents yesterday on the phone, I said, who are we rooting for on Sunday? And they're like, Niners. I'm like, really? And then my dad's like, I don't know. It's going to be tough for me. So he's 80 years old, and he's never seen the Lions do this, what they're doing right now.
Man, it's incredible.
This is really cool for him. So for our family, I'm all Niners, obviously, because I've been here since I was 6 years old. And I go back to the Joe days, and even before Joe, the Steve DeBerg days. And yeah, so this is, I'm all Niners. But for the family, this is a tough one this weekend, so we'll see.
So you go back to Wendell Tyler, too, huh? Remember old Wendell?
Oh, yeah,
used
Wendell
to fumble?
Tyler, 26. Right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's go out to Eric in the town. What's up, Eric?
Hey, good morning, fellas. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I'm really frustrated with the 49er defense, man. This Steve Wilkes, I'm going to call him VW, Vanilla Wilkes, man. He doesn't do anything different. This guy's supposed to be a D-back coach, but where are this guy's coverages? Why are the DNs not holding the edges? Where are the loop arounds? Where are the blitzes? Where are the five-man fronts? Where's anything this guy? You have one of the best front seven in all of football, and you're not able to do anything with them? I mean, worst-case scenario, shut down the run. Make any team. You should be able to make any team one-dimensional. I don't care what it is. If you got to stack the box, stack the box. Shut down the run. Let the quarterback beat you. But you know what? He's not doing that. I sure hope this Volkswagen, this Super Beetle, whatever it is, man, finds a job somewhere else. Get someone young, someone enthusiastic that knows the strengths of the team, because the secondary is not the strength of the team, and coaches them up, man. I'm just worried about this game this week. You got to stop the run. It all starts there. It's all about the trenches. Stop the run. Let's go, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, I appreciate your call. I hear your frustration. And FP, one thing you know about me is your boy loves his history. So I'm going to go here because I got to piggyback off of that. So I'm a black radio host. I know about the black coaches and how I always say it too. Sometimes they don't get second and third chances like other coaches. We all know that's a real thing. But for Wilkes to be demanded to come out from upstairs, there was some problem. And the average bear could see with their two eyes, there was a disconnect. And all that I'm saying is DeMeco Ryans is having a hell of a year in Houston. He parlayed his defensive coordinator job into a head coaching job. Robert Saleh did the same thing. Aaron Rodgers went down. My point is, I got to be real here, because if you're going to tell me, like you just did a few minutes ago, that you pretty much got the same players in Hargrave. Now, you lost not household names and Ebucom and guys like that. They gone on. But I just have a hard problem thinking this D has regressed this bad. So I say all that to say, I wonder how much of this is Wilkes and what he's putting out there, his scheme. Is that valid?
It's very valid.
Because something is not right.
Something's not right. But the one thing I've go to, Goo, is that, like, you got a guy like Fred Warner. That's a coach on the field. And if you're in meetings, right, and you're Fred Warner, you know what it takes to be successful and what you've done in the past. So any good coach is going to adapt to his personnel and adapt to guys that know what they're doing. So it's a head scratcher for me that Fred, who's the best linebacker in football, hasn't said in meetings, and maybe he has. I'm just speculating on radio. Like, why don't we do this? Because this is what we did best last year. Wow. And I think there was a time this year when the defense was thinking. And you could tell they were all thinking, where should I be? What should I do? And athletes are always at their best when they're just flying around, right? And you take the mental process out of it, and you become an athlete. And it's not paralysis by analysis. And we have this new system. We're doing these new plays and these new calls on defense. You could see that early in the season. On top of that, when you have a coordinator up in the booth, which I know nothing about, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I do, but just from a human being standpoint, looking somebody in the eye in the heat of battle and being able to communicate, like we're looking each other in the eye right now doing a radio show. Like when you have people do radio shows remotely, and one's remote and one's here, it's not the same. When you have a guy up in the press box and I'm down on the field and I need real-time evaluation or real-time feedback, I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're all-pro, Hall of Famer, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds liked to be patted on the ass and said, nice swing all the time. He did. Like, do you want that feedback? Fred Warner wants to hear, like, that was great, Fred. You're flying around. Great pick. You want to hear that. You want to have to get on the phone and hear that. So when Wilkes came down the sidelines, things got better. But the run defense right now, you just watch the line of scrimmage in the first 5 minutes of Sunday. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
That was, again, if I'm a 49er, that was demoralizing how Green Bay – they sent a message from the outset. And I was like, this ain't Dallas. You're taking the ball to the floor. You're tripping. But, man, they had that ball, and they were just saying, we're not afraid. And I don't know if you remember this play, because I don't want to single one defensive lineman out. So I'm going to group them together along with the coordinator, the secondary. Everybody's off limits except three guys, Ward in the secondary and Greenlaw and Warner. But Dontavion, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Wicks, a wide receiver, had Bosa. Is if Wicks was Bosa and Bosa was a receiver, it was blocking, but it meant with like that manhandle.
Saw that.
I was like, what is? That's when I said, Bosa, what is going down?
We said the same thing.
Oh, so it ain't just me.
No, throw him to the side like a rag doll.
Oh, my, Reggie White would have threw that dude back to the side. But that's when I was like, oh, physicality, edge goes to Green Bay right now. Like, I didn't like that. That can't happen.
Yeah, that's effort.
Ooh.
That's not technique. That's not defensive scheme. Yeah, Bosa made that one play when he got in the backfield and threw the running back down, but it just seemed like, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I love that you saw that. I thought I was being overly critical. I don't want to sit here and act like the guy
with all the answers because I don't have them. I don't have
I appreciate
the defense played the way they did on Saturday. I don't. I don't know why they've been poor against the run this year.
Yeah.
I would love to tell you, like, defensive packages. I like when they're in the 4-3. Like, that's my favorite defensive set. When you see those guys line up in that, I think when they play man and they play physical man, I think in the rain you have to play man defense. But like, there's some guys that weren't suited for playing man defense, as we saw, tackling guys on 3rd and 15.
Yeah, I was like, man, Green Bay's going to keep going. We'll get